We all kind of think of reality as this solid, structured thing, right? Built on a firm foundation. But what if there's a basement to creation? The Zohar, which is the foundational text of all Jewish mysticism, it calls this the Madora Kadma'ah, the First Habitation. Now, this isn't a physical place. It's more like a primal state of being, a layer of existence that's there before form itself. Today, we're going down. We're going to explore this first, dark habitation.
Think about it. When the power goes out in your house, everything familiar suddenly becomes strange, a little unsettling. Now, just imagine that on a cosmic scale. What happens when the divine light that actually structures reality, what if it flickers and fades in a certain zone? What crawls out of that darkness? According to the Kabbalists, this isn't just some spooky thought experiment. Oh no, it's a fundamental mechanic of what you could call the cosmic operating system.
So, the journey we're embarking on in this explainer, it's a descent. We're peeling back the layers of everything we know, all of structured existence, to look at what the Zohar describes as the very first, the most foundational level of the Sitra Achra, the other side. It's a realm of concealed chaos, a state of pure, unformed potential that's lurking just beneath everything. So let's get into it.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to start with the source code, the Zohar itself. It describes this whole hierarchy of 7 habitations, or Madorin, on the other side. Each one is a different level of metaphysical reality. We're going straight to the bottom, to the first and lowest level, the one that acts as the foundation for all the others.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the specific language. The Zohar says it's a dark place that doesn't shine. Okay, in mystical language, light isn't what comes out of a light bulb. It's a technical term. It means receiving a structured, coherent stream of divine consciousness. So when the text says, this place does not shine, it's telling us this whole realm is cut off. It's not getting the data stream that gives form and structure and meaning to the rest of creation.
So, what is this place then? The Zohar describes it with a bunch of negatives, which creates this amazing paradox. It has neither light nor darkness and no form or knowable image. How can that even be? Well, think of it like the cosmic equivalent of an unformatted hard drive. It's not the structured absence of light that we call darkness. It's a state of pure, pre-formal chaos. It's got potential, for sure, but there's no file system, no data, no structure at all. Okay, so even in a realm that's defined by being formless, the mystics actually identify a kind of structure, or maybe better put, a system of containment. It's not a hierarchy of creation, but a hierarchy of administration, and it's designed to manage all this chaos. So let's meet the system administrators of this cosmic void.
So, at the very top we have the governor, an angel named Tahariel. As you can see, his whole job is just to manage this partition of chaos. Under him, 70 officers. And that number, 70, is a big deal. It's often connected to the nations of the world, which kind of suggests their role is to contain this chaos on a global systemic scale. And then you've got the inhabitants themselves, these formless spirits, which are instantiated from what the Zohar calls sparks of flickers, just these ephemeral momentary blips of chaotic potential.
This realm also has an exit port, a kind of gateway called the Nukva de Tehoma, the aperture of the abyss. And this illustrates the cyclical nature of these spirits just brilliantly. The Zohar explains that at dawn, when the light of divine consciousness increases across the whole system, all these formless spirits just retreat back into this aperture and, poof, they vanish. They demanifest, and they stay unseen and inactive until night falls again.
So, we've seen what this realm is like, but the really crucial question is why it exists in the first place. I mean, why would a perfect cosmic system have a partition dedicated to unformed chaos? Well, the mystics explain this not as some random bug, but as a feature, one that results from a specific structural vulnerability in the divine emanations we call the Sephirot.
The Sephirot are basically the channels that divine energy flows through to create reality. In a healthy, ordered system, the Sephirot of Yesod, or foundation, channels this life-giving energy into Malchut, our kingdom, our physical reality. Just think of it like a main server cable connecting to a terminal. Simple enough, but what happens if you yank that cable out? Well, Malchut isn't destroyed. It just becomes an isolated system, unanchored, and it starts generating its own reality of chaos and anti-data. That disconnection is the root cause of the Madora Kadma'ah.
And get this isn't just some abstract cosmic theory. Mystical sources like the Sefer Sharet Tzedek right here connect this cosmic rupture directly to human actions. The generation of the Tower of Babel, that's interpreted as a conscious attempt to sever Malchut from Yesod, to create a reality totally independent of the divine flow. And this act of spiritual hubris, well, it created the very separation that gives rise to this whole realm of chaos.
To make this really concrete, let's use a modern analogy that I think just nails it. Think of the spirits in this realm as ephemeral shadow instances in a computer system. You know, these temporary hidden processes. They activate only when system monitoring is low, say during off-peak hours or night. They run with almost no resources, they execute disruptive tasks, and then they terminate the second system visibility increases, leaving no trace, no persistent state. This is a dead-on model for understanding how these spirits work.
So with that tech analogy in mind, the bizarre behavior of these inhabitants starts to make a whole lot of sense. They aren't just spooky ghosts floating around. They are a function of the cosmic system's own states of concealment and revelation. Their existence is totally cyclical, it's logical, and it's deeply tied to the presence or the absence of that divine light.
So the cycle goes a little something like this. When night falls, in a metaphysical sense, a state of reduced divine consciousness, the conditions are perfect. The ephemeral spirits are instantiated from these chaotic sparks. They operate in their native formless state. But as dawn approaches and system visibility increases, boom, they can no longer exist. They are forced to retreat back into the abyss, that nukva dehoma, and they essentially deallocate from the system until the next cycle kicks off.
Let's simplify this even more with a video game analogy. Imagine you're playing a massive open-world game. The Madora Kadma'ah is like a glitched-out hidden zone on the map. And in this zone, weird shadow enemies spawn, but only at night. They don't have proper models or AI, they're just disruptive, chaotic things. And as soon as the in-game sun rises, they instantly vanish. They despawn from the world. They're not real characters, just a temporary cyclical glitch in the game's code.
All right, now for the adults in the room, let's level up that model. From a cosmic engineering perspective, the First Habitation is a low-visibility execution environment. Its inhabitants? They're like malicious scripts, specifically coded to activate only when system monitoring, that's divine consciousness, is low. Their entire existence is conditional. The moment the monitoring of divine light increases at dawn, their environment is no longer viable and the scripts just terminate.
And the crucial point here is this. It's number one, the First Habitation. This is so incredibly significant. It tells us that the bedrock, the foundational principle upon which all the more complex and structured forms of negativity are built, is the state of unformed, concealed chaos. Before you can have a specific evil, you first have to have the potential for disorder. This is the source code for everything that deviates from the divine plan.
Now, we've mentioned the spirits retreating into the nukva dehoma, the aperture of the abyss, but this gateway is so much more than just an exit. It's the primary interface between this contained, unformed chaos and the more structured realms of existence. It's a place of immense potential danger and significance.
The mystical text Kesed Lavraham actually expands on this, calling it the Nukva Dehoma Rabbah, the aperture of the Great Abyss. It's described as the doorway to the habitations of the Klipot, the shells or the structured forces of impurity. In our tech analogy, this is the designated API endpoint. It is the one single place where processes running in that chaotic, unmanifested environment can interface with the structured, manifested world.
And according to the Sefer Derek Etz Chime, this API, well, it originally had a firewall. Look at the timeline here. In the initial state of creation, these chaotic forces were completely submerged, totally contained. But then came a security breach. The text says that the sin of Adam caused a lowering of human consciousness, and therefore cosmic consciousness. This weakened the containment field, and it allowed these forces of chaos to rise up and begin to influence the world. This directly links the abstract cosmic structure to human responsibility. It's on us.
So, after this whole journey through this hidden realm, its structure, its inhabitants, its origins, what's the big takeaway? What do we do with all this? Well, we can synthesize all of this into a single, really powerful concept, the doctrine of concealed chaos.
This doctrine teaches us several huge things. First, that destructive potential isn't always some external enemy. It can be a latent property of the system itself. Second, this potential exists in hidden layers, and it only emerges under conditions of concealment or lowered consciousness. Third, its nature is formless and cyclical. And all of this leads to the most important point: order, structure, and sanctity. They are not the passive default states. They are the result of an active, constant process of keeping the lights on, of maintaining a high level of divine consciousness in the world. And this is where our whole cosmic exploration comes right back home. If the Madora Kadma'ah is a real metaphysical layer that operates in the night of the cosmos, under conditions of concealment, then it forces us to ask a deeply personal question. What emerges from the hidden, unilluminated night within our own consciousness? What formless, chaotic impulses get activated when our own awareness goes dark? Because the principles that govern the cosmos, as the mystics teach, also govern the soul.
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We really hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please do like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We love reading them. We'll see you in the next chapter.